A man with no college degree taught calculus to the sons of Manhattan's elite. A man with no verifiable income managed the fortunes of billionaires. A man convicted of soliciting a minor walked free after 13 months, serving most of it outside a jail cell. That man was Jeffrey Epstein, and when the story finally unraveled, it dragged down presidents, princes, and some of the most powerful names on earth. If you've ever wondered how the rich and connected escape consequences that would bury anyone else, this is the case that answers that question. Stay with us. And if you want more stories like this, subscribe now and hit the bell so you never miss one. This is the story of how one man built an empire out of access, secrecy, and the willingness of the powerful to look the other way. Jeffrey Edward Epstein was born on January 20th, 1953, in Brooklyn, New York, working class, sharp and hungry. His father worked for the city parks department. Nothing about his upbringing pointed toward what he would become. He was gifted in mathematics, attended Lafayette High School, enrolled at Cooper Union, then transferred to NYU. He left without a degree from either. And yet, in 1974, at just 21 years old, he walked into the Dalton School, one of Manhattan's most elite prep schools, and talked his way into a teaching position in mathematics and physics. No degree, no credentials, just confidence and the ability to make people believe he belonged. He taught there for 4 years, instructing the children of Wall Street's most powerful families. One of those families would change his life entirely. A parent, Alan Greenberg, chairman of Bear Stearns, was impressed enough to bring Epstein into the firm. By 1976, with no financial qualifications whatsoever, Epstein was working alongside some of the wealthiest clients on Wall Street. He rose quickly. He became a limited partner. Then, in 1981, he left Bear Stearns, under circumstances that were never clearly explained and that he never publicly addressed. He didn't slow down. He reinvented himself, as he always did. He launched J. Epstein & Company, later renamed the Financial Trust Company, registered quietly in the US Virgin Islands. The firm claimed to serve only clients worth over $1 billion. He listed almost no clients by name. No one could verify his assets. No one seemed to try. Somehow, the money kept flowing. Through the 1990s, Epstein cultivated a social circle that seemed almost impossible. He befriended Donald Trump. Bill Clinton flew on his private jet, later dubbed the Lolita Express, at least 24 times, according to flight logs. He maintained a deep, well-documented relationship with Prince Andrew. Harvard professors, Nobel laureates, and sitting politicians attended his dinners. He donated millions to universities and scientific research. He made himself indispensable to the world's elite. The properties matched the reputation. A 7-story townhouse in Manhattan, one of the largest private residences in New York, a sprawling ranch in New Mexico, a home in Paris, a villa in Palm Beach. And then there was Little St. James, a private island in the US Virgin Islands, 72 acres, purchased in 1998. A gold-domed structure sat on its hilltop. Guests came and went. Few ever spoke about what happened there. The first crack appeared in 2005. A parent in Palm Beach reported to local police that Epstein had sexually abused their teenage daughter. Detectives investigated and found something far larger. Dozens of young girls, some as young as 14, recruited from troubled backgrounds, paid to give massages at his Palm Beach home, which then escalated into abuse. The operation was not impulsive. It was systematic, organized, repeated. The FBI took over. A federal grand jury built an indictment that could have put Epstein away for life. Instead, U.S. Attorney Alexander Acosta signed a non-prosecution agreement that wiped out the federal charges entirely. Epstein pleaded guilty to 2 state charges, soliciting prostitution, one involving a minor, and was sentenced to 18 months. He served 13. For most of those 13 months, he was permitted to leave jail 6 days a week on a work release arrangement, spending up to 12 hours a day at his private office. His victims were never notified the deal was being made. Many say they didn't find out until years later. Under federal law, they should have been consulted. They weren't. Epstein registered as a sex offender, paid civil settlements to some of his accusers, and returned to his life. He He flew, he hosted, he attended conferences. The world moved on. It was journalism that refused to let it stay buried. In 2018, the Miami Herald published Perversion of Justice, a landmark investigative series by reporter Julie K. Brown, who tracked down and interviewed more than 80 women who said Epstein had abused them. The reporting was damning and impossible to dismiss. Public outrage forced a response. A federal judge ruled in 2019 that the non-prosecution agreement had been illegally handled, that victims had been unlawfully denied their rights under federal law. On July 6, 2019, Epstein was arrested at a New Jersey airport stepping off his private jet from France. He was charged with sex trafficking of minors and conspiracy. Federal prosecutors in New York made clear this time would be different. He was denied bail. He was placed in the Metropolitan Correctional Center in Manhattan. He was put on suicide watch after what appeared to be a self-harm incident in late July. Then, on August 9th, he was taken off that watch. His cellmate was moved out. He was left alone. The guards assigned to check on him reportedly fell asleep and falsified their logs. On August 10th, 2019, Epstein was found unresponsive in his cell. He was pronounced dead. The medical examiner ruled it suicide by hanging. The reaction was immediate and global. The question hit everywhere at once. How does the most high-profile prisoner in America die alone in a federal jail the night before he was expected to begin naming names? Conspiracy theories erupted within hours. Attorney General William Barr called the circumstances deeply concerning. Federal investigations were launched. No one has been held criminally responsible for his death. The fallout reached the highest levels of public life. Prince Andrew's attempt to manage the damage, a BBC interview in which he claimed, among other things, that he couldn't sweat, became one of the most derided television appearances in modern memory. He was stripped of his royal duties and military titles. Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's longtime companion, and the woman prosecutors say recruited and groomed many of his victims, was arrested in 2020 and convicted in 2021 on 5 federal counts, including sex trafficking of a minor. She received 20 years. Court documents and flight logs have continued to surface the names of prominent figures. The full accounting of who knew what and who benefited from the silence remains unresolved. Jeffrey Epstein's story is not just the story of one predator. It is a story about systems, about what money can buy, what institutions protect, and what happens to truth when the people in a position to act choose not to. His victims spent years being ignored, disbelieved, or quietly paid off. The man most responsible for what they endured died before he could face them in open court. The files are still being unsealed, cases are still being fought. Questions are still being asked. Jeffrey Epstein is gone, but the reckoning he left behind is far from finished. If this story matters to you, share it, and subscribe for more deep dives into the cases, the power structures, and the truths that took too long to come out.